Hello everyone, ladies and gentlemen at the microphone Luffy. In this video I will tell you about the top 10 new anime of 2023 that are worth watching. My daughter, who went to the capital, wanted to become an adventurer, reached the rank of a career as an adventurer. For many people see the pinnacle of dreams of the game. I also dreamed of becoming the one who would dashingly destroy monsters, but strength or luck may simply not be enough. And this is what happened to the poor Belg PTO because he was a novice and did not have much skill and accuracy in carrying out the task, and therefore lost his leg. The only thing he could face was retirement. When the guy returned to his native land, he was forced to take on any job, whether collecting grass or helping farmers. He even became a very good craftsman. But Belg never felt happy. Everything changes when he goes, as usual, to the mountains and finds a baby there. He definitely couldn't leave the girl he discovered, and he took her in to raise him. The girl was named Angelina and grew up as a talented swordsman. Belg undertakes to help his adopted daughter in professional development and trains her when Angelina becomes an adult. Her father releases her daughter to the capital. It took her several years to reach the rank of adventurer. Angelina was so carried away by her duty that for a long period of time she did not visit her loving father. The story of the acquaintance of the experienced you and the inexperienced me. It's difficult for a high school student to co-see Ryuta in communicating with peers, and the reason for this is his character. Few people wanted to get involved with a gloomy guy, but he will have to let changes into his life, and they are connected with participation in the game of Kasim's desires. As expected, lost in the game, and he will have to admit his strong sympathy for the Soraka Rune herself. This girl is not only famous throughout the school, but holds a high position in the school council. Kashima has no doubt that failure awaits him because he is not good enough for such a girl. That's just the situation is developing in a completely unpredictable way. Ryuta did not respond to the courtship of the leader of the school team and preferred to pay attention to Ryuta's attempts to impress her. Friendly relations are established between Ryuta, and every day his awkwardness and timidity become less. Ryuta seems more experienced in interpersonal relationships, but Ryuta doesn't understand what to do. He has to think about his actions, because he and Ryuta are one step away from the birth of true and passionate love. However, Ryuta is not going to shift all the responsibility onto the guy, and Bert takes the initiative into his own hands. The worries of a locked vampire princess. A world in which humans and vampires coexist almost closely has its own peculiarities. In addition, there is danger in this world. There is a vampire princess who is very loyal to people. Moreover, she decides to protect them from bloodsuckers who hate people by turning them into food or even sacrifice. One day something happens that forces both people and vampires to almost unite into the world. Ra Sigma penetrates the world. I intend to destroy humanity. And people certainly did not expect that vampires would come to their defense. The princess is in a hurry to appear before people, which seems to be something necessary. Only the princess is in world of people. She is forced to pretend to be an ordinary schoolgirl. And all because she looks 15 years old and she could use a cover. She is accompanied by a faithful servant who will help in resolving any issues. But the most important thing is that maximum assistance will be provided in the search for Sigma. The girl will have to combine an ordinary human life with the heroic path in which she is ready to fight a dangerous opponent. But it is not this circumstance that makes the girl get upset quite often, but the fact that people treat her with some kind of distrust. Don't eat raw pork. Whatever may be the reasons for the death of a person who is in the prime of life and who had his whole life ahead of him. And by the way, not everyone who died prematurely simply disappears from some special space invisible to the eye. For some souls faced with death bodies manage to find themselves in another world. So the guy, having tasted all the pork and for some unimaginable reason, the deceased found himself in an unfamiliar space, but not in human form and in an animal. The guy has to settle in the image of a pig, albeit a cute one. But this is clearly not what he dreamed of. Fear overwhelmed the guy because, as a meat lover, He understands that he won't be able to run around free and alive for long, but the pig is saved from the fate of ending up on a nobleman's table as a delicious dish stuffed with apples, and the young lady Jess Eisma could not pass by the pig, who was at a loss, but also for the reason that she can read thoughts. The fear of the poor pig becomes known to Jess, and she decides to save the poor fellow. The pig settles with a sweet girl, but they both will not be bored since they are expected ahead quite exciting adventures. True, a little dangerous. A returner's magic should be special. The shadow labyrinth that appears as if from nowhere absorbs the territory, which threatens the end of the world. The shadow labyrinth is a cluster of worlds and they copy reality. But when something unexpected happens, a catastrophe occurs. One of the worlds becomes open and the most daring and a brave hero from reality will have to go there. Young children will have to make changes in the course of events that take place in a parallel world, on the eve of only saving the world as the shadow labyrinth continues to expand and has already swallowed up several kingdoms, but also receiving various magical bonuses. The heroes go straight into the labyrinth and there they are involved in battles that last 10 years, after which only a small part of that group remains alive and the heroes are almost close to victory. Something unexpected awaits them and only Desiree Armand manages to survive in an incomprehensible way. He finds himself in the past 13 years ago, and he again becomes an applicant to the Magic Academy, and at that time the Shadow Labyrinth did not pose a significant threat, and he decides to take advantage of this opportunity to save the future. 100 girls who love you very, 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 very much. High school student Aaron Tara just can't find a common language with her peer, and he just wants to plunge into romance. He is upset that he has not yet experienced the feeling of first love. Suddenly, a somewhat strange person appears in his life, Goka Ruri, and it is she who Rentaro admits to liking, but Ruri receives a harsh refusal. It becomes known that girls before her rejected this guy. Somehow he becomes a participant in a competition in which 100 girls are also involved and they all want to date him. The guy will have to determine the reason why such interest arose in him in the current conditions. It will be even more difficult for him to find someone who loves to truly involve him in a game that is incomprehensible to himself. Rentaro begins to comprehend the intricacies of relationships with the opposite sex, as if he is learning from his own experience what jealousy is, how rivalry manifests itself, and much more. Ordinary relationships built on sympathy, passion, and much more are dispensed with. Other feelings uniting people, and he begins to write down his feelings in a book, which ends up in the hands of one responsive person. She undertakes to help him find his love. The family life of a frivolous, which forest life has many advantages over the life that people lead. In cities and even in villages, the forest is full of everything that a person needs, and it is given completely free of charge, but you need to apply some effort. You can find anything in the forest and anyone, even a baby. Just such a find was waiting for one unusual person in the forest. Alice was a witch, but she treated her special status with a degree of frivolity. However, these in solving any problems was better than long thoughts when she finds the baby abandoned, either by his parents or by someone else. He doesn't hesitate for a minute to bring him home and begin to take care of him. So, in Alice's house, the forest foundling began to grow up. The girl whom the witch called Viola turned out to be quite grown, and those around her accepted. Daughter for Mother Alice was in fact very fragile, but the daughter was quite large, due to the difference in weight and height. The girls often found themselves in awkward situations, but mother and daughter were not upset at all and lived their own lives in which there were enough joys and surprises. They managed to confront the whole world while protecting your personal small and dear world. History of the Empire Tier Moon. Intolerable character can lead to disastrous consequences, and in the case of one quite cute princess, it even leads the situation to tragedy. Mia Luna Tier Moon was born a princess, and she could definitely count on a better fate than most girls, but due to her character, she dooms herself to a terrible fate by being an incorrigible egoist. Mia is a very displeased person in the kingdom. As a result, the girl, who did not want to change for the better, was decided to be subjected not to re-education methods but to the death penalty. But Mia was incredibly lucky, and this happens just during the execution. It happens that Mia is given second chance, and when she was about to be deprived of her life, she goes back in time, waking up again as a 12-year-old self. She cannot believe such luck. And what happened means that she can correct the numerous mistakes of the last time. Mia is afraid of slipping up again. To protect herself from this, she decides to take on the image of a modest person who she is shy and behaves timidly and quietly. Every day, she tries to spend it in such a way as not to bring anger on her head from the people around her. And still Mia cannot avoid problems. Telepath Stardust. Summer Yumi Kanashi was happy about her upcoming studies in high school and was upset that she wouldn't be able to make friends. After all, no one hears her except aliens, and she hopes to meet an alien. And therefore she makes a wish on a falling star, and the girl intends to find aliens to prove to everyone that there is a place for her. And then a new student comes to class, introducing herself as an alien, Konaho. You should muster up the courage to talk to this person, and she has a dictionary of the language of aliens. Finally, the girls started talking Konoha. From what the alien began to show attention to her. She has developed empathy and the unique skill of lobopatia, which allows her to read other people's emotions and thoughts. But the alien herself is offended by the fact that no one in the class believes in her extraterrestrial origin, and she builds a plan of action that will allow her to strengthen her friendship with the new girl. The school gets a task that they must complete together, which just allows them to learn much more about each other. The alien brings Yumi to a place that serves as her personal base. The 4 Yuzuki brothers some time ago. The Yuzuki spouses died, and their 4 sons remained orphans. The eldest son of the dead, Hayata, was already an adult and worked as a teacher, and the 3 younger ones, Makoto Minata and Kuda, were studying at school. The brothers were accustomed to the fact that sometimes they felt lonely and sad, due to the fact that there were no parents. Hayate took care of his little brother as best he could. He cooked, washed and cleaned, and Makoto, who was born 11 months earlier than Minata, This brother could even be late for class to dry Minata's uniform and bring it to him. Classmates only admired how Minata's caring brother Minata was offended by the fact that he placed a lot of responsibility on Mikit, and he was held for the child by Hayata. But sometimes he did not get enough sleep because of worries around the house. But he did not complain about this, remembering how his parents took care of him in childhood and therefore considered himself having to raise his brothers. His colleagues only admired the young man who from the outside gave the impression of a lonely 40-year-old father. But Minata could call Hayate a blockhead when he behaved disrespectfully with him. And all this was only because of everyday problems when his younger brother just wanted to help him. Guys, this top has come to an end. Don't forget to like, write comments, and turn on the bell. Everyone, once again, a huge thank you to everyone. I wish you a good mood, good luck, good health, and goodbye to everyone.